feels like she's too weak. So she's looking for a stronger power to gain. She looks and she finds it. The power was a see-through, strong diamond. She bows to it and takes some power. She walks back home and stands with a candle in her hand, feeling strong for all women.
So here's my story. Obviously, I had to leave a whole bunch of stuff out. But this is my story with all the important highlights and a lot of the important people. I hope you enjoy it.
Even if we could get sex education into the 8th grade or the 9th grades, it would help so much. I'm only 16, and my mom got pregnant with me when she was 16, and I am not ready to have a baby. Parents think, well, if I keep my child in the dark, they won't have this problem, which is not true. The worst thing you can do for a teenager who is having sex is to keep them in the dark.
Allie and her friends formed the group Life to help their peers get the right kinds of information about having sex.
I cannot believe, sincerely, that anyone could think that education of a topic of any sort could lead to making the problem worse. Ignorance is the biggest problem here.
The very first thing that comes to mind is when you had to be maybe 5 years old and you constantly played teacher, sitting down at a table and scribbling on some paper, and you had all these activities that you would come up with for her to do. And she told me back then that she wanted to be a teacher. Later on, especially when you were at LBJ Science Academy and you were really involved with getting yourself and then all of your friends over to People's Community Clinic, and you volunteered over there a lot. And I just remember all of the times where I would take you to either People's Community Clinic or to Planned Parenthood, and we would buy the gross condoms and sponges and literature for birth control, and we would sit down and stuff baggies with all of this birth control and then pass it out. And all of the times that you would go through training and actual volunteer work with the Runaway helpline. And you kept talking about wanting to be a school counselor or a teacher, or you were still exploring what you wanted to be. But I could just tell, especially with People's Community Clinic, you work so hard at getting knowledge out to all of your friends, your female friends especially, and getting them to the clinic and just staying all involved. I could just see then, the huge amount of drive that you have and the potential for, once you put your mind to something, it's going to happen, because you want to help people. You've always wanted to help people. You even would help me. You remind me, did you pay your bills, Mom? You were like my day planner, when you were little. And so, you've always been able to multitask, and you're a list person. I taught you well on that one. And, the potential's been there, and you have always followed through.
¿Sí? ¿Y cuál es su favorita? ¿Matemáticas? ¿Y cuán lindo? Gracias. 7. Wow. Tienes una gran familia también, ¿no?
Hogar, después más ciencias sociales, hogar.
Después el cuarto, pero él tiene una carrera y...
Familia es grande, ¿no? Es la más importante cosa para ti. ¿Más pequeña? ¿Sí?
I think one thing is that you're very good at organization, which lots of leaders need. School while you were pregnant, and you were still going to school while you're working 2 jobs, and you've always just tried your best at whatever you've been doing. So.
I knew you were in charge of the family when you were 4 years old. She walked out into the living room in the trailer and looked me in the eye and said, and I quote, no paraphrase, "It's okay, Dad. I know who I am and where I am. You go get high and play your guitar. I'm going to teach the 2-year-old to read." At that point, I realized that you were my reincarnated Welsh, German, Celtic grandmother. 10 years from now, you will be in your mid-40s. I think you might be astonished to find out that you're 45. I believe that you will be the master of your destiny, whatever it is. I'm impressed by the fact that you will certainly have your PhD. You demonstrated an ability to use the skills that you have been trained in for progressive purposes, and I believe that you will be a mover and shaker and probably behind the scenes.
Do you have anything else to add?
Rock and roll!
Welcome to Taste of Texas. I'm Jennifer Peck, and today we're at Rudamaya. We're going to be spending the day here finding out all the things that Rudamaya has to offer to our community, both by day and by night. For 3 years, yoga has been Rudamaya's introduction to the day. For the price of a cup of coffee, instructor Pamela Brewer guides group yoga to jumpstart your day with a little zen.
Whether or not we're Christian or pagan or Jewish, whether or not we like jazz or reggae or punk rock, we can all meet here in this space. And no matter who you are or where you came from, you can feel part of this family. And that's really what we seek to do here.
And several other people told me about you, and they all were like, "Oh my God, wait till you meet Allie." Well, I didn't meet you for about 6 months, and when I met you, you seemed very self-possessed for someone who was 13 years old. I was like, holy shit, I wasn't like this when I was 13. And it seemed to me that from the first time I met you, you knew what you wanted to be. And it came to me that what I needed to do with my life at that particular moment was to help you in any way I could to realize whatever goals you had. And it was a joy. It was one of those things where you think you're doing something for somebody and it turns out that they do more for you than you ever did for them. You became my daughter, and you would do these things like when you would hand out condoms, and I would sort of hear of them. People would say, did you know that Allie was on TV last week handing out condoms? I was always very proud of you. I thought, there were times when I thought, well, is this the best decision for her to get to the goals that she wants? And then I would always think, this is her decision to make. I just feel incredibly lucky to have had you as my child, and I do feel you are my child. I realize that in the profession that you've chosen that credentials are important, and I think you've attained those. And I'm ready to see you put your ideals and ideas into action. I'm hoping that you have those resources, or if you don't, you find time to, give yourself a breather or a vacation or whatever, because I've seen you doing just a heck of a lot of hard work over the last God knows how many years. I don't know if you're going to be, totally changing the educational system in the United States, or maybe just totally changing it in Austin or wherever you are. Maybe just raising 2 absolutely wonderful daughters. I have a feeling it'll be some combination of all of those. And it has been the greatest pleasure and honor of my life to have you as my daughter.
It was just because you can't handle everything. I mean, you do handle it, but you shouldn't have to handle everything that you try to. You're trying to do a lot more than you should. And that's why it hasn't affected me in such a positive way. Years from now, it seems like if you went the way that you would want to, then you'd probably be a college professor. Also, another possibility that I would see as something really cool is you having your own school. Probably be like a preschool, because I've noticed that you definitely like to work with either older people or younger people. One of the places that I most likely see is probably in Florida. Just being able to sit on the beach and teach at the same time.
Well, I always see you doing stuff like around the house, and it kind of makes me feel like you're really strong because you can do all these things at like you have like 20 things that you have to do, and you can do them all in like 20 seconds or 20 minutes or so. And like, not in college anymore, but you would probably be like maybe a principal of a school, and then maybe after that you'll probably become a professor for UT or whatever, something like that. And I can see you very, very happy, of course. And that's pretty all, I think. And you're probably gonna be in your 40s or something like that. Yeah, actually, I think when I was reading this, I think all these goddesses would probably be you when you're actually happy. Sometimes everyone gets mad, but like when you're happy, I think you could actually accomplish all these things that happened in this book. Like that I wrote.
Thanks, Molly.
So yeah, bye. Bye.
So this whole film has been dedicated to my sister Sarah, who is a cancer survivor. And through her experience, I learned what real strength is. Through my daughters, I learned what real patience is. And through my mothers, I learned the meaning of the phrase, never underestimate the power of a woman. I hope you enjoyed my story.